Move on and I'll introduce the first of our speakers from organisations within our region, or regions. And our first speaker is Katrina Ritchie, who's Group People and Culture Director from Gripple. And Gripple is a Sheffield-based organisation, so Katrina's going to talk about practices at Gripple and how they've benefited the performance of the organisation. Katrina, over to you.
Gripple, in case anybody is not aware of who we are a Sheffield manufacturer where we've got 7 factories and we've got 14 offices globally, and we export 85% of our products, and we make products for the civil, construction and agricultural markets. So I just want to start off. I am going to talk to you about how we address skills in development at Gripple, but just to give you a bit of background, I think it's important that you understand who we are and a bit about our culture. So we are driven by our values, and we call it the Gripple spirit. We are employee owned, which makes a huge difference. It means all of our employees have got skin in the game. All board positions come from within. That's an aim for us. We think it's important. We think it drives development right through the layers. We have lots of examples of people who started off in the packing department and then moved to the US as the operations director. People who started off in marketing and then went to India to set up our venture there. So it works for us and it's important, and we try to do that where we can. A core of everything we do is innovation, so 20% of our products and sales, 20% of our sales should come from products which are 5 years or younger. That drives innovation, that drives productivity, and it's crucial, but it's not just in the products we make, it's about how we run the business. It's how we run our teams and in departments. So for example, we have 8 financial periods a year instead of 12. Because that means we only have to stop work 8 times to count stock, do the accounts, etc., driving more productivity. Our leaders are empowered to run their departments like entrepreneurs, so we let them crack on, get on with the job. We know we've done lots of work in the business, people can't get on with things, and absolutely crack on with that. And we work with schools and communities to develop our people. So if we've got new managers, we send them off to go and do a presentation in school. It helps them with the presentation skills. They've got to gen up on Gripple and builds their confidence. But also it's getting our brand out there, and we're helping and we're giving back to the school. So we do lots of activity around that. And we have no job descriptions. I'll come back to that. Ultimately, we tell every employee if the ball falls, catch it. The biggest one is we have no HR. I like being ruffling feathers, but anyway, so on to our values, so the Gripple spirit, and it's the core of everything we do. It's created by our employees. It defines expectations, behaviours, what we expect from each other. It is really rooted and embedded into the business, so much so our founder comes and finds me every now and again with visitors saying, have you got the Gripple spirit? Can you talk to these people? And when we originally created it, he said it was all fluffy, happy, clappy rubbish. So it really is embedded in the business. We develop our people against it. You won't be a leader or a manager at Gripple unless you are exemplars of the Gripple spirit. And we use it to manage performance. So if we've got people with attitude problems or whatever, they turn up for work, they're doing an okay job, but the attitude stinks, we use the Gripple spirit to remove them from the business because we don't want people like that in our business. It's just not tolerated. And also we use it for talent development. So just talking about the people who've been promoted before, they got there because 70% of who they were the Gripple spirit, and it's crucial. And we actually score each other on the Gripple spirit, and it's not necessarily about the score, who's got this. It's about generating a really good conversation between a manager and an employee. And ultimately, and I get asked a lot of questions around culture, how do you define culture? For us, and I strongly believe if you don't understand what your values are, you can never address your culture or drive your culture. So it really does drive our culture. So back to why we banned HR. Well, we think if we hire the right people, there's less HR. We want our leaders to be responsible, not HR. I can't be responsible for Joe who works in a factory in America. His leader knows him, I don't. So leaders have got to be responsible. And therefore, training and development is absolutely crucial in our business because this is how we want to run it. So instead of HR, we do HR, obviously. You know, we do look after people, we do follow the law. So we look after HR, recruitment and learning and development. And we are project-led. So that's also a really good reason to do less HR because the people working in our team are working on how do we continuously improve the business, what can we do next, how do we improve employee lives, and etc. We're at the table, we're aligned to business strategy, and really our job is to support and challenge managers. We keep rules to a minimum, and we keep policies to a minimum. So I've been harassed lately by our finance team in the FD. They want to put a policy in for expenses, and I've said absolutely not. And we are still like this 6 months down the line. And they say, well, yeah, but people, and it comes back to leadership. It comes back to trust. There's a problem with people. You know, if people aren't doing what they should be doing with the expenses, then why are we here? We should be training managers more to talk to the people, all that type of stuff. So we're like this. And I know a lot of people go, yeah, you know, no, we're not having a policy. Let's look at the root cause and let's address that. We're here because we want our people to be able to crack on, get on with the jobs, and let leaders lead. So we want great people in our team. So not just in the P&C team, but are our employees great? If they're not, why? So it's a key headline for us. And we want our people to be happy, trained and long-serving. So I talked to the P&C team. If we're not working on making people happy, and if we're not training people, and we're not working on keeping them in the business, then what are you doing? All comes back for us, and that is absolutely how we operate the team. So we've got a vision to create an environment where employees thrived and they're fully engaged in the business. Our mission is to be the benchmark. We want businesses to come to us and say, how are Gripple doing it? So then that's helping us continuously review what we're doing and raising our game because we want to be the benchmark. And there's 3 very simple formulas we follow. And it's treat people right, manage them right, and develop them right. Just 3 things we work on. So I just wanted to flash up the people plan. We've got a 5-year plan. I'm not going to go into detail. But basically it's split into 3 areas. So we've got the way we work, lead and grow. So for the way we work, we want to have the best EVP. So that's looking at benefits, how we look after people. And it's funny you mentioned the 4-day working week. That's the end of our 5-year plan. And when I presented this to my team and the CEO in America, I swear he nearly fell off his chair. He jumped up and he went, you can't, 4-day working week. And I said, Jonathan, calm down. We're not going to go to 4-day working week unless we've got people performing at the best. We're making lots of profit. We've gone through our digital transformation and we've done all these things. Then we can go to 4-day working week. And then you could see him sit down and the cogs turn. Because absolutely, I think it is possible, but we need to get all these other things right. And the plan is built around getting all these things right so that, yeah, we can work 4 days a week on full pay, etc. We want to do the real thing. And we measure that through our employee satisfaction index. The way we lead, my vision is I want to have leaders in any seat, so you don't have to be, as I'm not an expert in HR, but I'm leading HR. We want leaders who can move around the business and bring that agility and flexibility. And we measure that through retention and what we call our 5 E scores. 5 E's are our leadership behaviours. And then the way we grow, we really want to embed a culture of learning. So it's part of the culture. It's not something we're doing separately. And we measure that through our skills index. The skills index is a new scoring system we've got. It helps us to develop and support managers. Ollie, Sati is developing it currently. But we want to be able to have a full picture of where the skills are, where the gaps are, and so on. Right, so I'm just going to focus on the way we grow because we're here today to talk about mainly skills and productivity. I want to share a few things there. So to embed a culture of learning, it's all around our 5E leadership behaviours. So we embed these into all training. Managers need to demonstrate them. They're scored against them. We use it in succession. Key to the fundamentals to all of our agenda. And like I said earlier, the Gripple spirit is also fundamental, and employee ownership. So our approach, I've just mentioned the skills index, we do succession planning, obviously all the obvious things like PDPs, we do training passports, so we pick people up from different sites and even overseas and swap them around so that they can learn from each other, share best practice. We have a dedicated training facility in Sheffield, which is, you can never go in the place, and it's our place. Everybody else is using it, but there's lots of development going on there. Our ambassador program is a huge success. This links to schools, so we use it to develop our people. It means that we can go into careers fairs, mock interviews, all this kind of stuff, but we've got an army of Gripple employees. There's about 60 of them who love doing this outreach stuff. They come and get their little pack, they go off and they're developing, we're attracting some of the best young kids into our apprenticeship schemes because they know Gripple, and we use it to develop people. So our ambassador program is a really big piece of what we do, and also charity and community, which we use to develop people. I had a guy who said, I want to be a team leader, and he said, but he worked in the factory. I said, well, he said, can I go on a course? And I said, well, he said, where do I start? And I went, well, why don't you run a little charity event? And he said, oh, yeah, well, what do you think that'll help? I said, well, yeah, because you're going to go and have to talk to people, influence people. You need to create a poster, so you need to go and talk to marketing. You need to talk to your manager, organise a day. You need to talk to your colleagues to get them involved, all these things. And it's like, so there's things like that where we drop people in and give them tasters. And then we have a leadership charter as well, which we follow, and it's really good to get back in with the teams and the leadership teams to review that along with the 5Es. There's various development programs, like I just mentioned, the 5E leadership behaviours. These are key to everything that we do. We do management training, that's important, but it's about those leadership behaviours which drives real engagement across the business. And as you can see, I'm not going to go all the way through these, but there's things like Rally International, where we send young people off and they do their Future Leaders programme. And then we've just launched a Skills for Growth programme internally, so we are wanting to, and one of them is AI actually, and things like cyber security. We're upskilling our existing employees in degree level apprenticeships. So that's another project that Ollie and Laura are working on, but there's a real buzz where we are, because we do lots of training in production, we do lots of training in leadership and sales, and there's a kind of a bit of a gap here, so we're working on that. And then we have an operator training program as well for our production staff. So I'll wrap up now. I've rattled through that, and it's a good job because I can talk. So keep it simple. That's our motto. Treat people right, manage them right, and develop them right. And just to flash up some figures there, it works. There are some numbers here. I don't know, I think the presentation went a bit funny between connecting to here, but yeah, we 142% profit, increase in profit in the last 5 years, 67% sales in growth in the last 4 years. And I think all these things, there's just some numbers, but we've kind of, I'm not saying we're perfect, we've got loads and loads to do, but I think focusing on people and leadership and that engagement piece really does drive, well, it certainly drives our productivity. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much indeed. That was really, really interesting. We've got about 5 minutes for some questions. So if anybody has any questions.
Just while I'm walking over, the slides are going to be shared after today, just to let you know.
My name's Alex Swallow. I'm a consultant and coach. And one of the things I'm really interested in, because I support people with influence and sort of mapping out a bit of a path for their lives. And I was really interested in all the amazing things that you do to support people. But I was wondering how you set that in the context of their wider lives, by which I mean, could it be, for example, that there's some people who just need to move on from your business, not because they're not performing, but because you don't have the right type of role for them to move into? And when you first engage with them, how do you talk to them about the way that they see their life and kind of mapping it out? Or is that a process that you explore as you go? I'd be really curious to know.
There's not a particular process for it. If someone comes along, and it's interesting because a member of my team has spoken recently, they want to do more and they feel a bit stuck and everything, and we get back to the autonomy bit. I said, well, go and create a project, do something different then. You know, my boss always says to me, you'll never get bored, Katrina, and I'll never get bored because we'll just do something crazy, like, I don't know, the 4-day working week. You know, it's that kind of thing. But when we do get people who move on and, you know, they change circumstances, Gripple's not for everybody. It's very fast-paced. There's high standards, and because we're employee-owned, we've got to really go above and beyond because we're working for each other. And the more successful we are, we all benefit. So, yeah, you know, I'm always looking at different ways of creating different opportunities, and certainly within my team, whilst we've got the different disciplinaries, they work across projects together, so they're not just stuck in recruitment or L&D. I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, it's all based on the individuals, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you.
Coming.
Thank you, Sarah. Sorry for making you walk across the room. Hi, my name is Sophie Robinson. I'm currently on a career break, but I was a HR director in the local manufacturing area. So my question for you is actually, I had some employees come and join your company, and the feedback that I got was phenomenal and was really inspiring, some of the stuff you do, especially around well-being. So you've talked about not doing HR, which I think is great, and I'm actually exploring some different opportunities at the moment, kind of deciding what my next move is. And I spoke to one CEO last week, and he talked about, unfortunately, we've got a culture of being the HR police. So it's really interesting that you don't use that terminology. So can you explain to us what terminology you do use for your team and how that integrates within your business and how you made that change? Because I'm sure, you know, you did used to refer to HR, didn't you?
Well, there was no HR department. So, I've been at Gripple 25 years. Yeah. Started off in sales. I always say it's probably why I'm so successful in this role, because it's all about you selling. Yeah. You know, you're trying to influence and all that type of stuff. And there wasn't anybody doing HR. We were a small business then. There were 100 people. The managers did the HR. The company secretary did the contracts. And I was given the opportunity to set up people and culture from scratch. So because I've not got a HR background, that's why we're where we are. And it's about just doing what's right for Gripple and using our common sense. So, of course, there are now people in the team who have got the CIPD and all that type of stuff as well. But because we started it from scratch, there's never been a different expectation for it to be HR. And sometimes I do have to wind a couple of the ops people who are actually out in the factory dealing with the people facing problems, where they come back and they'll say, that person needs to be sacked, you know, and I'm like, and this and that. I'm like, we're not the police. Right, let's take a step back. How do we address this situation? You know, so I'm very conscious, and I say that a lot to my team. I don't want to be the police. We want to be seen as the good guys. I want people to see them like, think, great, and they're inspired. We're here. Oh, I'm going to speak to Kat. Let's see what's happening. You know, so that's how we kind of approach it. But I think it's because there hasn't been an HR department, which has really helped us.
So if you don't mind me asking, what terminology do you use to refer to people of that nature that you said? So are they well-being partners? What do you actually...
We just call them people managers.
You call them people managers?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. So there's people managers, there's a recruitment team, various, and then learning development, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Time for one more quick question, if anybody has one. There's one at the front. You're roving right across the room, Sarah. Sorry.
I feel bad making you run all the way back. My name's Ollie Jones. I'm an academic from Leeds Business School. And your culture appears to be really strong. You can feel it, even listening to you, Katrina. But how do you balance that strong internal culture with getting an external, fresh perspective as you move forward?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm quite conscious I've been there a long time and I might be institutionalised. And I'm very aware of that, and I hate it when people go, oh, you know, so on purpose, I deliberately go out and do things like this forum and other things, but we encourage all our team to do that. Industrial tourism, go and find out what other companies are doing. I was speaking to our new marketing director actually recently, and he's trying to build his team and set the strategy. And I said, Sean, go and find out where the best marketing directors in our region, and go and see him, go and talk to him. So it's about us going out and seeing other businesses. So, you know, because we know there's things we can do better, and we are continuously wanting to improve the business. And it's the mindset of the business. Innovation, continuous improvement and entrepreneurship, and I think most of the team and employees at Gripple think like that, so we do that sort of thing. That answers your question.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Katrina. Thanks very much indeed, and thank you for your questions. We've got a